Said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor, or mighty warrior.
Leading someone to Christ for the first time, because it wasn't like I was like planning to have one-on-one time. But I talked to this kid earlier that morning, and he just kind of like walked away from the gospel, and then he just started me asking questions later that night. And it was just like, I know why I'm supposed to be here now. It's awesome.
One of my favorite moments was I had a girl in a cabin, and she had really bad night terrors, and just her from the beginning of the week having a nightmare every night and being so afraid to go to sleep, and just she wanted to be home, and praying with her and having her nightmares completely stop, and just watching her realize that her God is so great and how much He loves her.
The one that will probably stick with me the most is a couple weeks ago I had a camper named Hank, and he was a really little kid, and just the night after I presented the gospel and like realization and everything just sort of dawned on him, and he tugged on my shoulder sleeve here and asked me to come outside with him and pray with him, and then he came back inside and just announced to everyone that he had accepted Christ, and just the joy and the excitement on his face, it was really awesome to see something like that coming out of someone so small.
Early on in the summer, one of my kids, CJ, he started crying, and I took him outside and I was like, hey, what's up? And he was like, well, I got a letter today saying that my dad had been deployed to Iraq while I was here at camp. And he didn't want to tell me because he knew that I wouldn't want to go to camp. And he didn't want to tell my mom because he knew that she wouldn't, be okay for him to leave and go to camp. And so he kind of sprung it on them at the last minute just so he would be able to come to camp that week. And I prayed for him. And after I got done, he just kind of started praying. It was just like, thank you for the fact that you work everything together for my dad. For the whole summer, like, that moment just stuck with me. It was just this little, like, 9-year-old boy. Like, he just has this faith that I even struggle with, that he's just, God's watching out for me, and God's gonna be there, even if no one else is, and it was just amazing.
I had a camper named Amber, and it really made me love her even more, because she came to camp with 3 weeks prior losing her father, and her father died, and so it was just really cool to see her come to camp and just really just be on fire for God, just still wanting to learn more about Him, and just to see her go home with, just the victory over some of her pain and stuff was really, really awesome.
Amber's was just sitting on a bench by the lake, and I asked him what he was doing, and he was just like meditating on what God has done and stuff like that, and we talked about different things that God's done in our life, and it was just really cool to do that, like to talk with a little kid like that.
I had a camper who at first seemed really quiet and didn't really want to be involved with people at all. As the week progressed, she became more and more outgoing, and her and I would play foosball together a lot. And one day she came to me and she said that she wasn't sure about her salvation. And we didn't have a lot of time to talk then, and so I felt really bad. And then the next day I made sure that I met with her and we talked, and I kind of shared with her my testimony deeper than I had before the first night that I shared it with the girls. And she just asked a lot of questions, and I read some passages to her, but she didn't make a decision right then. And then I had been praying for her even over the weekend and all of that, and then the next week at camp I got an email, and it was from her, and she had said that she'd gone home and she was crying because camp had meant so much to her and that it changed her life, and that she now can follow Christ. And I just thought it was amazing, the fact that God had worked through her, and